Kayvon Thibodeaux. Kian, I'll start with you. So say I think a lot of boards have him falling to potentially even out of the top 5,
Yeah,
underrated or overrated.
I think, and again, this is what we talk about the podcast. We're going to be doing the overrated, underrated, fairly rated based on media coverage on the player
Yes.
and where
Yeah.
we've seen them.
Yeah.
I think we knew that, but Kayvon Thibodeaux, I think, is underrated. And I think all three of us love Thibodeaux. I think, am I wrong? Do we all have him as our edge one? I might be wrong. Dylan, I know you do.
I have Hutchinson as my one.
Oh, okay. But I still think,
really?
I'm not sure. I still have to finalize, but I mean, you looking at Thibodeaux, I think he's that kind of classic Chase Young, Myles Garrett type of guy. Obviously not as polished as them, but in terms of speed and bend, I think he'll have at his peak more of an impact than a guy like Aiden Hutchinson. Although I still think it's very hard to argue because I still think Aiden Hutchinson will be fantastic. But I think you look at media coverage of Kayvon Thibodeaux, and again, like you talked about, a guy who they have slipping, almost to 9 to 10.
Ridiculous.
And I just don't get that. And not only that, and this more comes down to the CBS and ESPN and the so-called draft analysts that to me just, again, I believe in having your opinion. It gets to a point where it's absurd, and having Thibodeaux fall to 10 is not going to happen. At the end, unless something, medical, like that's not going to happen unless something drastic happens from here until the draft. And I don't see that happening because it's in less than a month. Kayvon Thibodeaux is a fantastic NFL player. Generational, no. Elite, yes. Definitely not a guy I would say we haven't seen or prospect like we haven't seen come out, but he will make an immediate impact on whatever NFL teams he go to. The bend and speed he has off the line of scrimmage is fantastic. It's again like the top guys we've seen come out. So I think, again, based on media coverage, this guy is underrated, but me as an analyst and as a channel, I think we have him very fairly rated as one of the most elite pass rushers, if not the most elite in this class. So I definitely would say in terms of media coverage, they're underrating him, and it's definitely very upsetting to have to say that.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I'm going to go with underrated. Now, I was watching a little segment from the Boomer Bust podcast show. I really like them, by the way. Shout out. And they were saying a lot of the hate towards Kayvon Thibodeaux comes from the bad interviewing, which is what they're saying.
Yeah, right.
But what they were saying was the teams didn't seem to think he interviewed badly. The media picked up that he was wearing sunglasses indoors and decided to make him like a fit about it. And they did the same thing with Lamar Jackson in the 2018 draft. You see where he is, by the way. And I just
just to interrupt you. Who cares?
Exactly.
Like, wait, who cares?
Exactly.
Who cares?
I don't think anyone cares.
If he was being blatantly disrespectful or something like that.
No,
okay.
the Detroit Lions came out and said he had one of the brightest answers to their interviews. He seemed to have a high football IQ. It's not like he's Johnny Manziel walking into an interview. He knows what he's doing. And I think the disrespect into putting him lower on the board just really comes out of analysis boredom. They kind of got bored of putting him number 1, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to make him fall a little farther. And I don't quite understand why. Don't want to dwell on it. You've pretty much been saying the same thing over the course of this process. Charlie, you want to go?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know that I have much to elaborate on what you guys said. I think I completely agree. I think Thibodeaux is my potentially number 1 player in this class, potentially just number 1 edge. I think it's very close, but I think the number 1 edge probably is the number 1 player in this draft. So I will say Thibodeaux is the number 1 player in this draft. He is the player I would take at pick number 1 for the Jaguars, for the most part. And I think you guys said it well. I think Kayvon Thibodeaux it's coming to a point where he is underrated. I didn't think we'd be saying this at the start of the season because he was the far and away number 1 pick before the season started. And the fact that he has slipped this much just kind of
it was him and Spencer Rattler were the first 2 picks.
Yeah.
How funny that is.
Yeah. That's true. But yeah, I think we can move on. We all agree underrated for all 3 of us on Kayvon Thibodeaux.